Welcome to another edition of Handicap Born Black in America. I'm your host, Ramon Roan, and this is being brought to you by Judicial Freedom Riders Incorporated. We're a nonprofit organization, and our mission is to reform our justice system. Today's topic is entitled Freedom of Sermon. That's right, freedom of sermon. We've all heard about freedom of speech, but this is freedom of sermon. In Houston, Texas, and many of my Facebook friends are in Houston. I don't know how that is, long story. All right. And not going to tell it right now. And the mayor in Houston requested the sermons, a copy of the sermons, the text of 5 pastors. I'm like, now it reminded me of Reverend Joe Johns in the 50s, prior to Martin Luther King taking becoming pastor at the Ebenezer Baptist Church in Georgia. And the mayor wanted to get a copy of Reverend John's sermons. And because of the fact that Reverend Johns was a civil rights activist. And so these supposedly pastors, they was speaking about against homosexuality. Well, the Houston mayor is a homosexual. She is married, or whatever you call it, whatever you want to call it, to another woman. And so she requested that. And I'm like, wait a minute. But you know what? Some years ago, and I have preached before, I'm ordained. Some years ago, I spoke to the church, and I said that if we are not careful in this country, the day will come to where the preacher of the gospel, of the Bible, will be arrested for preaching what's in the Bible. Folks, if it's not here already, it's getting here soon. Now, if in order for just the thought, just the mere request of it, of saying, I want to get a copy of your sermon. The mayor asking for, if you want to get a copy of the sermon, why don't you come there on a Sunday? Why don't you meet with the pastor and give him and ask him, what does the Bible say about homosexuality? Why don't you do that? In fact, the Bible is simple. Just read it for yourself. Just read it for yourself and you see it. You don't have to ask the pastor for that. Matter of fact, just to think about is that she didn't have to make an official request. She could have just bought a copy of the sermon. They sell them. Or if there's some churches, if you're a visitor, they'll just give it to you. But this is an intimidation, and reason why I know that our organization, the Judicial Freedom Riders, but we're talking about justice. We're talking about your constitutional rights. You have a constitutional right to exercise your freedom of religion, not freedom from religion, but of religion. So in this country, you're allowed, if you're a Muslim, you're allowed to worship as Muslim worship. Don't cut nobody's head off. If you are Mormon, you're allowed to worship as Mormons worship. Just leave the little girls alone. Boy, I know y'all not gonna like this. Anyway, so if you are Hindu, you do what Hindus do. So a Christian preaches out of the Bible, and it doesn't matter who upset, because matter of fact, every Christian will be upset at a sermon, especially something that you're doing wrong. Now, when I was a fornicator, every time I heard about fornicating, it stepped on my toes. If I was committing adultery and the pastor was preaching about adultery, now adultery is wrong, guess what? He's stepping on my toes. Now, if you're a homosexual and he's preaching from the Bible about homosexuality is an abomination according to the Bible, he's stepping on your toes. You deal with it. Guess what? Don't come back. Christianity, unlike Islam, does not force you to do nothing. Look, God made man a free moral agent. You know what that means? That means either you do it or you're not. Matter of fact, I believe Christ says that those who believe shall be saved, and those who shall not believe and will be condemned. He ain't forcing you to do nothing. That's not the God. That's not the Christ that I know. Not according to the Bible. He don't force you to do nothing. You don't have to do it. You got a choice. You got a choice. So the mayor of Houston, you got a choice. You either can listen to it or you don't, but you can't shut them down. And I think it's intimidating to not just if you take these 5 pastors, all pastors are now going to feel intimidated by your actions. I think that this is infringement on our freedom of religion and the freedom of speech. This has been another edition of Handicap, born black in America, and I'm your host, Ramon Rowan. Again, my appeal is, please subscribe to this organization. Most organizations, they're dependent upon corporations. A large percentage of their money that they get is from corporations. We will not be that. Look here, we will not be that kind of organization. We're going to be member supported, member driven, and it starts with you. May God bless you, and may God bless America.
Thanks for watching.